To the Olympics with boxing, I've been to 5 different weight classes, and I fought the best in my era. The key punch in boxing is the jab.
Hold me back.
As Terence Crawford prepares for his upcoming fight against Canelo Alvarez, he's trying new training methods and has also brought in a new coach. The main goal is to help him with workouts that will improve his weight for matches. Elo Alvarez. On fight night after training, Mayweather and Crawford had a fun practice session where they put each other to the test in the ring. Terence Crawford started a short training camp after recovering from an illness to get ready for his fight against Canelo Alvarez in September. He is the unquestioned world king and is getting ready for his upcoming fight by stepping up his training. He has already started strong, is trying new methods to train and gain weight so his smaller size won't be as much of an issue in the ring.
I think, I take more chances.
Excuse me, Crawford.
Right now. But earlier in his career, he was taking a lot of chances as well. So,
Crawford said they have a lot in common, but boxing fans have been comparing the two fighters to see who is better. And they did that. This new source said that Crawford would probably win a fight between the two when it comes to pure fighting ski-skill. Mayweather Jr., one of the best.
Floyd Mayweather, you talk about. You talk about money, or do you talk about Pretty Boy? Because Pretty Boy was the seek and destroy.
Mayweather was able to beat many opponents by timing his jabs correctly and being able to counterpunch. He has two opinions of himself.
The left hooks again. He's a lightning hand speed extraordinary. Left hook drops him, and then he hit his head off on this here at the engine.
As Asait Saisaidredi Bo Floyd was the more active fighter who brought the fight to his opponents. Let Lateroni Mayweather would figure out how to beat his opponents with great fighting, no matter which style you like. Mayweather Jr. became a legend through both of these pieces of work. Comparatively, boxing fans are still in awe of what Crawford did to Spence in his last fight, whether it was a power jab that he repeatedly snapped through Spence's guard punching, in traffic, or the time of his counter punches, but was very good at fighting, which has happened before, but we've never seen him do it so well against a fighter as good as Spence. When talking about pure boxing skill, arguably nobody should get a pushover against Mayweather. Crawford's style of boxing is different yet effective, even explosive in its own right. So how would their boxing stack up if Crawford would fight Mayweather in his prime and use his lasering shots against Mayweather's focus on the sweet science? Who would the jab first and would be the more successful coup counterpuncher? There are many's to see this play out that it might be best to call this group a draw. How many times have we watched Mayweather luring his opponents to the middle of the ring, where he processed information, studied it, and uploaded a plan to pick his opponents apart? Mayweather took his ring IQ and motto of hit and not get hit and basically wrote it to the Hall of Fame as an undefeated 5th Division world champion, named undisputed at junior welterweight, and now welterweight has shown a high ring himself throughout his career. Mayweather showed hand speed, especially on the counter-punching induced Crawford's lashed angles, and we whipped up the edge and speed of Mayweather's 50 win-wins. Came by way of no knockouts in comparison to Crawford's 40 win-wins, of them coming by no knockout. He's still active. No now entered Crawford's was wizardry, as Spencer opping him 3 times en route to a dominant 9th round to Kotko. Simating a power punching Odie snatching fighter like Spence Ho, gradually broke down Kell Brook. Shan Porter and why Dennis Yuga to become the unified world welterweight champion was anything but easy. Crawford made it look easy, and his power was a big reason why Mayweather painted in the core corner. Raising that shoulder into the Philly shell and abs-absorbing shots with his arm, while using his free hand to pick his punches was defensive boxing turned counterpunch at its very finest.
That's unbelievable. Young boxing fans that are watching Floyd Mayweather, you're seeing one of the greatest defensive fighter of all time. I mean, that's how strong. You're wearing, then he's nowhere. You think you... And again, it's not just hand quick.
Crawford has some good defense to him, as Wellington Mayweather took defensive boxing skills to another level of damn near perfection. All I thought up would a fig fight against a prime Mayweather actually, and who would win after 10's first round, where each boxer is trying to feel out the other. See Crawfording the more active and busy fighter early on, on-aunching and scoring shots even if many of them are absorbed by Mayweather's shoulder and elbow. By the middle rounds, Mayweather style would set in as he hits Crawford with jabs, winning some rounds.
The way he rolls with punches, look at the way he makes them miss. I mean, here we go. Through a series of punches and nothing really landed. The ripid fight for Mayweather. All right.
Yet with a steady flow of pre-pressure, Crawford's firepower could get to Mayweather even enough to hurt the superstar at times. As close as we see this one be Beeford's fighting skill, and those sashing punches might be just enough to have judges credit him on his pressure and volume on a newt to a points win. Either brand of boxing. Terence Crawford, known in the boxing world for his exceptional skills and unbeaten records, as Issa proof the power of dedicated training and planned physicalation. Beeford's way of training for his fight against Canelo Alvarez mixes intense physical preparation with a strong mental game, putting him apart in the boxing world. Ford's current training routine is a diverse mix of activities one to hones boxing skills and keep peaks physical condition, improves his punch power, and makes him gain the necessary weight he needs to face Canelo Alvarez on an ordinary day in competition. Training includes circuit training with weights, fan fitness workouts to improve speed and agility, and core work where McIntyre bounces a heavy medicine ball off Crawford's stomach while he's doing crunches, mountain runs, and swimming. Terence Crawford is especially a fan of swimming for cardio training. Will swim for 30 minutes to an hour every night at non-impact. Basically easy on their joints. It helps regeneration of muscle cells and fibers. It's not natural for him, so he has to work a little bit harder. It's a different type of cardio from running. I think it helps tremendously on the cardio side. He then moves to boxing training with his boxing training. Crawford is always working hard to improve his moves, both on the attack and the defense. You can see this clearly when he practices with his pads. One of the things that makes him stand out is how easily he can switch between two different stances he fights. At first his coaches tried to convince him to stick to one stance, but eventually they realized it was better to train him and both. You can still see him practicing this way today. When boxers trained for a fight, they often practice sparring with other boxers to improve. This was especially true for Terence Crawford early in his career. He was so good that even top boxers like Timothy Bradley were impressed by him nowadays. Terence is one of the best boxers. The world and other fighters come to him to spar. I don't usually win, although because Terence is so good, though Terence is usually right, and An's also good at fighting with his left hand. And Crawford spars with other boxers, often uses his world-class left hand. Fans know that building hitting power takes a lot of hard work. Of the main tools used for this reason is the big bag. Crawford elite boxer, no exception. Crawford uses the heavy bag to practice his hitting technique and build his shoulder. Then watching Arn and motion, you can see him throwing strong punches, calm combinations, and everything in between to get the most out of his exercise. Crawford mixes up the pace of his punches, sometimes hitting the bag softly and other times with full force. This is a regular practice that helps him improve his general fighting skills. Crawford has been working with his coaches for most of his life. One of the most important parts of his training is working on the walks with his teachers. During these practices, he doesn't focus on hitting hard or fast. Instead, he works on different attacking and defending scenarios focused on skill and tactics. And his teachers also use other training tools like reaction noodles and a punch shield to improve their movement and aim. Terence Crawford is a superb shadow wrestler with some amazing skills. One of the things that makes him stand out is his ability to stay cool and adapt to different events and throwing. He's good at throwing attacking and defensive punches, making it look easy, but that's not all. Crawford is also incredibly tough. He often trains in really difficult situations to push himself harder, and when he's not doing that, he likes to use like 2 kilos of bars to shadow box. These help him build strength, while also staying fast, so he can hit hard while still being quick on his feet. Crawford is constantly looking to improve his aim and speed. To achieve this, he uses a special bag called the double end bag during his training. It helps him to practice footwork and head movement, which are important skills to have in the fighting ring. His heist teacher, Ulbukulso, uses sticks to surprise Quen and make him reply defensively. Also, this nutrition plan focuses on lean proteins, complex carbohydrates, and hydration, ensuring maximum performance and healing during camp. My teacher handles everything with the food. Chef tells him what she wants me to eat, and she fixes it. Told Muscle and Fitness the last time she was actually with me the full camp, she handled everything with the food. I really don't think about that.
405. There you go.
Mick Mikey Garcia Ho is the younger brother of Ray Magazine's Manager of the Year winner Robert Gargaro, one such critic. Thermer Fee Featherweight, Upper Fee Featherweight, Glightweight, and Super Lightweight King told Fight Hub TV that he did not fully back the fight despite being one of the most wanted by fans of the sport. Not a big fan of that fig fight. RCIA said to stress the weight difference between the Mexican and the American, and remembers how Koff had suffered against Israel Madma after moving up to 15 Ds in 3
There are too many weight classes apart. And although the skills, Crawford is one of the best fighters that I've seen. Now, Canelo.
Despite Crawford's seemingly better ski skills, Arcia thinks that the size difference will be the deciding factor in a possible mat matchup. Mexican Eater's speed and size will likely give him the edge. That's why I'm not a fan of that fig fight. Hink Crawford has accomplished everything he had to accomplish from 140 to 147, and now 15-4, 154. It's even bigger for him. CIA added, if Crawford really wants to push himself, could go the way of an undisputed fight in his current div division. However, here is a pro problem, but there's no money in that hat. CIA acknowledged that a fight between Canelo and Crawford would generate substantial revenue. He is a fan of the fig fights, is not in favor of the mat matchups. He said he would prefer to see Alvarez face fighters within his weight class or higher, ch as Artur Betbeterbiev or Emery matched Dime Dmitry Bivol. Wanted to challenge himself to go up to 175 again and challenge himself against those fighters and not a smaller guy going up in weight. CIA stated as the long-anticipated fight between Terence Crawford-Canelo Alvarez continues to spark interest and debate within the boxing community, and more boxing pros are making their contributions. Crawford celebrated for his flexibility and skill prowess, aiming to move up to weight classes to face the undisputed super middleweight champion. Daring leap that has split views among boxing experts.
Down to 160. Yeah, Canelo ain't gonna come down, maybe 166 max if he accepts. Yeah. I think Canelo wins that fight based on just the size.
One notable thing, former heavyweight world champion Deontay Wilder. In recent talk with the writer, he shared his fears about Crawford's big weight jump from 147 to 8. That's way too much, Wilder stated. Although you can move from southpaw to orthodox when you're touching those guys. That's way too much, Wilder stated. Although you can move from southpaw to orthodox when you're touching those guys that are bigger, it's a different feeling. It's like you're crying. It's like yours is totally different than with smaller opponents. Hence Will Wilder's remarks. Ferd has taken a step forward in closing the weight gap by capturing the World Boxing Association's super welterweight title. However, with this achievement, a 14-pound difference remains between him and Canelo Alvarez's disparity that could play a crucial role in the fight's outcome. Canelo, known for his relentless hitting power and stamina, established himself as a powerful force in the super middleweight class despite suffering 2 tough defeats by decision. Has constantly displayed incredible defense Andres resilience, solidifying his place as one of the toughest rivals in boxing. The game promises to deliver an exciting spectacle.
Be there. You know what I mean? That's going to be a good one. Both of them great guys. They got great talent. And both of them very determined. Got that killer instinct. And in this sport.
To succeed, an Omaha native must display extraordinary adaptability and resilience against an opponent of Canelo caliber in a higher weight class. While elders' concerns about the weight disparity are real, allure this fight is hard to ignore, letting two of boxing's talents against each other. This Ash of Styles' raw power has fans eagerly awaiting what could be one of the Spa Sport's most gripping events. It is surprising that Canelo Alvarez would already have a guaranteed opponent for 2022-2025. Not for the May date, but for his second fight of the year and for September, on the weekend when the independence of Mexico is celebrated in Las Vegas. After's insistence seems that the work is bearing fruit for Terence Crawford and Alikter Turki, and the undefeated Mexican fighter will be his opponent for the second fight in 2022-2025. However, Vares's acceptance to face Koff will be quite expensive for the organizers. The Mexican had already anticipated, according to boxing insider Jack Jackson. Elo Alvarez will receive $150 million for the fight against the Butt, a figure that the Guadalajara native had already stated at the end of 200 to before, if they wanted him to think about the chance of taking the FIG fight. Elo Alvarez will get $150 million guaranteed for a fight with Crawford. Jackson posted on XX Men's Madmade UL Alvarez will return to the top of the highest paid fighters in sports 2020-2025, asked from which he dropped out the previous year. The potential fight in September between Sal Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford could become one of the most interesting fights of the last decade. The year 2025 began with a series of exciting events for all boxing fans due to the good number of fights that could take place throughout these 12 months, which have been expected for some years, and one of those fights is Canelo facing Cord. The website, specifically spasports.com, reported on Alikter Turki. K has all the credit for this fight going ahead. It is said that in the past few days, he held a meeting with Canelo himself to talk business and a multi-million-dollar sum to buy the rights to the Mexican's next FIG fights. She and Canelo reportedly reached a deal to stage the fight against Crawford in mid-December, as part of the events for Mexico's Independence Day. However, the biggest question is not the fight itself, but the weight gap between the two fighters. Iral, experts in the boxing world, and even some past world champions, such as Mike Tistasonre, asking what the southpaw from Alabama will have to do to match Canelo's weight categories above, and the difference of 14 lbs between them. Endary boxing teacher turned athlete Teddy Atlas has offered his insight to Fight Hub TV into the possible big fight between the two stars, saying that he would find it hard to go against the American southpaw. Few people have the appetite or talent for testing themselves. Mr. Crawford, I'm going against that guy. Father Time might catch him, but I don't know if a weight class can catch him.
Crawford as one of the top 5 fights that he wants to see this year. Is that a fight that you're considering now?
We'll see. Everything's possible. We'll see. We want to talk about it, sit down really well and figure out something.
I know you thought he was kind of a lose-lose.
It's a great task because Canelo is a terrific fighter and bigger and stronger, and he can punch and time you. But just because you're smaller, Crawford will come up with a game plan that will make the other guy use his size. Speaking to Fight Hub TV, McIntyre gave a positive mention to the undefeated Crawford, who is tied to beating Canelo in May or September. Crawford has all the tools to win a third-weight undisputed crown. Any true boxing fan knows Crawford can beat Canelo. You have to know fighting to be able to say that. Bow to the Fight Hub, and that's all for now. For the very best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay linked with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to turn on alerts to get informed when we draw quality content like this. Until next